Hi, Scorpio and Scorpio Rising. Here is your horoscope for September 2025. I'm Astrologer Joseph Anthony. All right, get ready. We are in eclipse season. This month we have two powerful eclipses that are going to light up parts of your chart having to do with this house here, the 11th house of hopes, wishes, and the future, and your 5th house of creativity and love and romance and children. And so these two access points are going to be highlighted. And so I'll tell you all about that in a few minutes. But first, I wanted to give you an overview of what's happening here. We have the sun going through Virgo this time of the year, which is natural and normal. And we see that your focus is on the future. It is on communities and friendliness and being around others and, socializing. This seems to be the theme here, especially with Venus also in Leo at the top of your chart. Mercury has come out of retrograde in Leo in the 10th house. So you're focusing a lot on your career or your status or focusing on, being seen in the public in some way. Now, your ruler Pluto is at the bottom part of your chart and it's in retrograde. So there's a lot of sort of underlying emotional issues that are coming to the surface, or you're dealing with a lot of family dynamics or something to do with maybe real estate matters. Maybe you're thinking about moving or remodeling or something along those lines. This is the theme that I see here. Now, again, it's a very basic general theme. So this reading is for anyone who has a rising sign in Scorpio or has a sun sign in Scorpio. And it's based on Western tropical astrology using the whole house system. And it's very general and very basic because everyone's birthday and birth chart is different. So these alignments are not going to be exactly in the right houses. And depending on your aspects in your chart, it'll affect you differently, you see. But it'll give you an overview with a sun chart with a Scorpio rising. It's still about 75% accurate, depending on, again, your birth chart. So, take that into consideration. So we start off this month with this energy here that's building up the first 7 days of the month because of the lunar eclipse coming in. So Saturn is going to be retrograde in Pisces. And so here it is. It goes from the 6th house of health and service now back into the 5th house of creativity, things pertaining to loved ones, having more fun, children. So for many of you, you're probably feeling this heavy responsibility because Saturn represents responsibility. And Pisces is where we sacrifice ourselves. It's the spiritual side of life. And we also have the North Node pointing in that direction. So there's definitely a lot of thinking and speculating over the next couple of months when Saturn is retrograde through this 5th house. So it has to do with karma, has to do with, the choices you've made. All of this stuff is going to be highlighted here. Now, Saturn will continue to go retrograde until I believe November. Then it goes direct again and will finally leave Pisces in this 5th house sometime at the beginning of 2026. So this is like a review process where you're slowly going through this morphing of the subconscious and your spirit and the past and bringing it to light. That's how it works. Okay, it's very subtle. It's not just one day. It's a one-day event, especially when we're dealing with the outer planets. Okay, they take a much longer time to reveal themselves. Mercury will enter Virgo to help you analyze. Mercury in Virgo is very analytical, and this will take you to a deeper level of understanding within yourself. You might be a little bit more nitpicky or just focused on the future more, and it's in the 11th house. And so this is about the future. This is about technology. This is about friendships, organizations, charities. And so for the next 3 weeks, Mercury will give you this a more intense eagle eye to discern, to analyze every little aspect of your life and your friendships and what you're a part of. And that's what's going to really be a strong dynamic the first week. Now, Uranus will also go retrograde this month, again at the beginning of the month in Gemini, right there. There it is in stationary position before it goes retrograde. And so this is, again, a reminder about things pertaining to the deeper part of your life. In other words, the deeper psychological part, the shared resources, the transformation that you've been undergoing. Everyone has been undergoing, but the planets are indicating for you there's a lot of emotional stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's being dredged up from the past, especially with Uranus here and Pluto, your ruler in the 4th house. these absolutely pertain to the past. And of course, Jupiter is also in Cancer, which pertains to the past. And so a lot of issues from the past are going to continue to resurface as Uranus makes its way in retrograde mode. Now, this is the fourth planet, the outer planet, to go retrograde. So again, these are going to be like anchors pulling us slowly into the past for some reason. And this is going to be a lot of things pertaining to investments, monetary issues, your connection to others, and then eventually it will retrograde back into Taurus for a short period of time. And Uranus will also in 2026, the beginning of 2026, will move direct again and eventually leave Taurus and go back into Gemini. And I believe that's in February of next year. But anyway, it gives you an idea of what's going on here with that planet going retrograde. Now, here is one of the big alignments that are going to occur this month. Is the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. It's a water sign like yours. Cancer is the other water sign. Pisces and Scorpio are the three water signs, which has a lot to do with emotion and feelings and connections to others. And here it is highlighting this fifth house of love, romance, creativity, fun. This has to do with children. And it's going to be opposing the sun. And so this one, with full moon lunar eclipses, they usually bring in endings, completions, realizations. So what is happening in your life having to do with your children, having to do with your love life, having to do with your fun, having to do with the creativity in your life? This is going to be a strong pull over the next 6 months that these areas get transformed. Maybe you have a child that's going to college and they're not at home anymore. Maybe a loved one in your life just doesn't want to be in a relationship anymore. Maybe you're coming to some sort of realization about a current project or endeavor, or maybe you're not having as much fun anymore over the next 6 months. Again, it's a gradual, dissolving of something. Now, the good news is Pisces is a spiritual sign, so it's getting you to see things at a much deeper level. You're getting rid of stuff that doesn't belong in your life anymore, or people that don't belong in your life anymore, in order for you to experience something new. That's how it works. They're not always, I don't look at things as bad and negative. I just see them as opportunities to change and transform in some way. And that's how I look at this full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. Because it's in the fifth house, it's given us an idea of what areas are being affected by the lunar eclipse, okay? We also have Mercury entering Libra on the 18th. And there it is right there to give you more energy to ponder, to think, to go back into the past in your mind. Mars is already there, but Mars will be leaving Libra around the 22nd, and that's going to really help you out a lot. But Mercury in Libra is very nostalgic here, and it is really connecting with the past, and anything to do with relationships are on the forefront here as Mercury makes its way for the next 3 weeks through this 12th house. All right. We have Virgo. Venus entering Virgo right there. And Venus in Virgo is very analytical, especially having to do with relationships and partnerships and money matters. Virgo is the analyst. Virgo is the perfectionist. And so when Venus, which is all about partnerships and relationships and values and the physical side of life, goes into Virgo, it becomes more pessimistic. It becomes more analytical. But there's a lot of energy building up in this 11th house for many of you, which is a good thing because this is about the future. And especially when the solar eclipse, this is the second strong alignment that's going to occur this month, is going to be in Virgo. So this is like a major doorway that's opening up for many of you, having to do with you being associated with new groups, organizations, meeting new friends, meeting new people in your life. This is going to be at 29 degrees of Virgo. So wherever that is in your actual birth chart, you want to focus on it. But this is giving you a golden opportunity to look at the future and go, okay, I need to do this, this, and this. I'm going to go do this, this, and this, and you'll be really deeply immersed in these decisions and plans. It's in the sign of Virgo, the sign of hard work. And Scorpio rising people are not lazy. You guys are hard workers, and you will be determined to get what you want. And so this is also about maybe your health. Virgo rules health, so maybe you're focusing more attention on better health care, for yourself or your family or your friends. Maybe you're joining a gym or a membership this absolutely falls under this umbrella. But this will, over the course of the next 6 months or so, will have you thinking about the future in a big way, in a different way. Okay, so I see this as a real positive energy, in a sense that it's giving you an opportunity to change in this area. Now we have Mars entering Scorpio on the 22nd. Now the energy and the drive gets ramped up even more. Mars in Scorpio is not docile. Mars in Scorpio is very determined. It's in your first house of identity and self. So you are going to feel supercharged, motivated. I got to get things done. I got to improve. I got to look better. I got to exercise. I got to do this. I got to do that. There's a lot more intensity here. Okay, so this is going to help you a lot over the course of the next 5.5 to 6 weeks. And last but not least, we have the Sun entering Libra, which is more gentler and easier. So it'll soften some of this intense energy that you might be feeling. And so the Sun is going to be going through the 12th house, asking you to sort of retreat and realize your connection to spirit, spirituality, mysticism, anything to do with religion, all falls under the umbrella of the 12th house. And so maybe there are some issues with relationships that you need to change. This is all going to be under this umbrella of the Sun going through Libra. Anyway, there is the general overview. If you want to know more, I do a deeper dive into this monthly astrology using the aspects in my Inner Circle community. So consider joining and becoming a member. And if you do consider joining, I would suggest the 1-year membership because it's cheaper. And of course, we will dive into everything that's going on. I do the weekly astrology in the community, so people get an overview of what's happening for the week. I also make predictions each week about what's going to happen. And of course, every Sunday we are on the Zoom call, and members get to send me their charts. I do answer a few questions based on their charts. I make predictions. I teach astrology. There's a whole a plethora of things going on in the community. So consider joining. I left the link down below. There's a 7-day free trial, so there's no obligation. Anyway, I hope to see you in the community, and have a great month, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.